I hope you guys are having such a glorious night. If not, do understand and get your day, your night, your life is going to get better once your perception gets better. So I was just on TikTok and I don't even know why I was on it. Like I know I had uploaded a video on there, but I had came across this girl post and she basically was saying like words are magic and how like if you don't know certain words like they won't affect you, right? So she went through this whole thing about saying like the word Jerusalem and she was breaking it down and stuff like that. I remember, and it for some reason it put me in a mind of when I used to be. All right, so first off, I went from, and I think like a lot of us, like we need to go through this journey, this path, so to speak. I had a good friend of mine. It was a guy friend, and I remember he had came over to my house, and he was telling me about stuff that was going on in the industry, right? With entertainers and stuff like that. And I ain't believe none of the stuff that he was saying. And he was like, Deena, I'm serious. I'm serious. And I went down this whole rabbit hole of the conspiracy theories, right? And I don't think they're conspiracy theories, but whatever. But I went through this whole phase in my life where as though I was like more focused on people that's in the industry, in the entertainment business, as opposed of me knowing how to change my life. Okay. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. 1 second. Because I gotta make sure that this part come out right. 1 second. Is it this way I'm looking? Hold on, honey. Oh shoot. Thank God I messed this part up. Wait, hold on. I was gonna braid my whole head, but I was like, oh no, that's not happening tonight. Tomorrow I gotta shoot like $4 or $5 tree horse, and I gotta get up early. Well, I gotta get up early, so there's definitely not happening tonight. Um, I'm so excited, like to change me and my children's life. Earlier today, I was on a train and I was with my oldest son, and I was reading this book right here. So I was reading this book, Working with the Law. It's funny, the other day my intuition was like for me to pick this book up and read it again. And one of the things that it talks about, this is a great book, very, very good. Obstacles serve as an opportunity to call up our latent powers. They draw us out and make us strong. They lead us to the goal we have in view. When you are up against it, when you desire progress, declare to yourself these words: I can. Remember, those simple words contain the magic formula to all success, and no goal worthwhile has ever been won without the realization of them. In all circumstances, you are greater than the things or the conditions. If not actually, you are potentially. Whatever you aim at, be certain of winning. Aim high, aim well, and your mistakes will come few and far between. Keep the I can attitude, affirm it constantly. You will succeed. You are bound to win. John D. Rockefeller states, the man who starts out with the idea of getting rich, wait, hold up. The man who starts out with the idea of getting rich won't succeed. He must have a higher ambition. There is no mystery to business success. If he does each day's task successfully, stays faithfully within natural operations of commercial law, and keeps his head clear, he will come out all right. But this is the part that really was it for me. Where is it? Oh, right here. Um, when our thoughts are aimless and imperfect, we create for ourselves pain and confusion. This is misdirected energy. Now, electric energy, when it is misdirected and uncontrolled, develops lightning, a most destructive agent. Yet that same power of lightning can be harnessed to become a most obedient and successful servant for good. The first question in our self-development is, are we controlled by our thoughts? Or are we controlling our thoughts? Are we using our thoughts for gain? Or our thoughts using us for a continued loss? Okay, Jesus says, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all things will be added. He also said the kingdom is within. Heaven is a state of mind. Therefore, heaven is an orderly, disciplined, constructive state of thinking. To gain all things, we must first gain a disciplined, orderly, constructive state of mind. Have you a disciplined mind? So, what really got me with this book was when the author talks about when we don't really see with our eyes. Like, your life, you could be going through something right now, right? Hold on, chat. I gotta make sure this part is good. You could be going through something right now, and you may be thinking like, oh my goodness, your whole life is over. Like you may be that extreme, okay? You may be like, oh, your whole life is over. Is your whole life really over? No, no. It's not really over. Even if things seem so bad, your life is really not over. It's all according to what you tell yourself. Now, if I'm looking over here, that's because I got to braid this back part. And so, getting back to what I was saying earlier, okay? If you get so focused, hey, Grayson, if you get so focused on what's going on with other people, get so focused on other people's lives and what they doing, the Illuminati and all these different things, right? You get so caught up in it. Guess what? What is that doing for your life? It came a point in time where I had to ask myself, because I went from that. Well, first I did the religion. Then after the religion, I went to the conspiracy theories, which I don't really think they're conspiracy theories. But then I went back to religion, and I always was searching on things, right? Looking for things. I think just being distracted. That's really what it was. Being distracted. And as long as you distracted by what's going on in someone else's life, guess what? It will distract you from changing your own life. And so I remember when I first had, I don't want to say my spiritual awakening, but I remember when I first went through the whole shift of just becoming a little aware of things in my life, why I would do certain things, and I remember the first thing, like if I see myself being distracted by certain things, I would say, how is this helping? Like, me watching this video or me seeing certain things, like, how is that helping my life? And that's one of the things that you have to ask yourself. When you feel yourself getting distracted or whatever, ask yourself, like, how is that thing, how is that helping you? You know what I'm saying? Like, how is that thing benefiting you? Even sometimes I don't watch a lot of TV, but when I do watch it, sometimes I just catch myself, like, I just turn it off, you know? And I do have my moments where, though, I may binge watch something. I may binge watch something. But when I see that my life is a certain way, like I want better in my life, I just cut the TV off. And I say, come on, this ain't helping. This ain't helping your situation, girl. And then I got to do something else, okay? I got to focus. Look at my analytics or something. I got to pay attention to what's going on in my life. But if you focusing on things that's not serving you, things that's not going to help your life, what's the use of focusing on them? It's no use. All right. I got a few more braids to go. I said, well, I got to braid my hair. Let me come on good old YouTube and braid the rest of my hair up. I'm so glad I know how to braid, child. Oh my goodness. Ooh, child. Ooh, Lordy. I got a few more. My part, they look good. Hold on. All right, that's much better. 1 second. Okay. I think that's, yeah. All right, that's much better. Oh, wait. Hold on. I might as well share this. Okay. I say I might as well share it. Might as well share it. Doing my long here. Hold on, honey. I gotta make sure this part is good. Oh, it's gonna come a time when every week, no, every 2 weeks, I'm going to New York and getting my hair done every 2 weeks. It's so funny, because I remember, and I tell you guys this, but I remember once upon a time I used to think, oh, thank you. I remember I used to, oh, thanks, Grayson. I remember one time I had called my brother, right? Because my brother, he's Muslim and stuff like that. And this was one time when I was after I went to the mosque a few times, and I remember I had called my brother, and at this time I was doing a creamy crack, okay, putting a crack in my hair, okay, the creamy crack. The perms, honey. Let's not get it misconstrued, okay? I gotta let some of the folks, the slow folks. No, just joking. But I was putting a creamy crack in my hair, and I remember one day I had called my brother. Now, he's with Nation of Islam and stuff like that. And I remember I called him one day, and I was like, hey, I was like, because I was hearing so much at this time, like if you perm your hair and stuff like that, that means that you don't really accept your regular hair, your natural hair or whatever. And I called him and I was like, hey, so you know how I perm my hair, okay? And I was like, is that a form of self-hate? And he was like, he ain't want to come out and say yeah, but he was like, well, technically, like, what would be the reason for you perming your hair? And I was like, like a lot of the girls say, it's easier, right? As opposed to dealing with my natural hair, it's easier for me to perm it. And I'm going to tell you guys this story, how I decided to finally go natural, okay? Listen to this. Listen, Linda. Because I remember I had a few people in my life and they was natural, right? They will wear their regular, kinky hair. And I used to be like, the only way I go natural is to, I like the thickness of my hair, but I straighten it. Like, I'm not going to just be, And I remember I had this, I used to get my hair done a lot. And I remember this girl, I found this new beautician. I will be going to different beauticians, honey. 1 second. I remember I found this new beautician, right? Honey, I got a braid while because my phone I think is on. Hold on, honey. Oh shoot, my phone on 8%, so I got a braid and talk. All right. All right. So I remember I found this new beautician. Because where I was working at, one of the girls had told me about this beautician. So I was like, ooh, I'm gonna go to her. The plan was for me to just get like my like permed and get some weave up in it. Okay, weave up in my head. And so the beautician that I went to, she was natural, right? And her hair looked it really good. And I remember when I went to her, she was telling me like how she loved being natural, she don't really have to do too much to her hair. And who the hell is this? Hold on, honey. Well, I don't know who the hell they was talking to, but anyway. So she was telling me, she was like, oh, she love her hair and she ain't got to do too much to her hair and all this other stuff, right? So if you natural, I think depending on where you go and depending on what style you get. But in my case, since I was wanted to transition, because this beautician, her hair was gorgeous, right? She had like some color in it. She was like blonde with a low haircut. It was absolutely gorgeous, right? But it was her natural. Now, some people say if you dye your hair, that means that you're not necessarily natural. But anywho, so I remember one day I called her, right? To set up an appointment. And I was like, hey, I was like, yeah, I want to come to you, like on Thursday. And she was like, okay. She was like, what you getting? And I was like, because she was talking about how good, you know, she was talking about how good and her being natural, how good it would, she was saying, oh, when she go on vacation, she was like, she loved the fact that she could just, get out of the water and pretty much do like that with her hair. Now she ain't have a whole lot of hair, but the little bit of hair that she did have, she said that she loved the fact that she could do like this, and she ain't have a lot of hair because she cut it. So this one particular day, she asked me, she said, oh, what you getting? So I was like, oh, I'm going natural. Now my hair at that time, if it was like permed and a weave and something, I think it was like 100 and something, right? And this we talking about, I'm trying to see how many years ago was this. Wait, hold on, honey. Ooh. But it was a few years ago, right? So I'm like, yeah, I'm coming to you. So she told me, she was like, it sounded like she was discouraged. She was trying to discourage me, and nobody can discourage you. But honey, so she said, well, you can't get no. I said, what could I get? I want to do natural. I want to go natural. I was like, what could I get? She was like, well, you can't get much. What? I can't get much. She was like, no, you can't get much. So I said, what could I get? Because I still had texture and, the texture from the perm in my hair. So she was like, you can't get much. So I said, I can't get much. She was like, no. She was like, the most you can get is like a wash and go or something. And I just had all these pictures in my mind, like a afro. Some parts gonna be straight, some parts gonna. So I said, you know what? I might as well just put the creamy crack back in my hair. And from that point on, I went to her. So I went. It wasn't even her salon. She had a chair in there. I went back and I let her do my hair, and I was like, I will after that appointment. I was like, I would never come back here again, and I ain't go back there. But listen to this. What really got me now, that was part of what got me to go natural. It was a lady video that I had watched, and she was a cop. Her dreads was like all the way down to here, like by the beginning of her butt crack. Okay. And I remember I had watched her video, and she she had real long dreads, and she was telling the story how she worked at like in a hospital, but like with the coroner, right? And she said it would be all these dead bodies like of women. And she was like, one day the coroner had said to her, like come over here. Like she seen like the scalp of the African American women had. And she was like, it looked like they scalp was being eaten up. And then a coroner showed another lady that was like Caucasian, but the scalps was different. And she was like, why do it look like that? And the coroner said, because you know those perms that you guys put in your hair. She was like, the coroner said that's why. And she said ever since that day, she said that she stopped using perms. And her dreads was so long. And from that point, I wanted my hair. I was like, you know what? I'm going to be natural. It's so funny how these things work, you know? Like, you just thinking like, oh, well, I'm going to do this to be more healthier, not understanding it. Like, this is a journey of self-love, self-acceptance, you know? And I'm not saying that people who perm their hair or wear wigs or weave or whatever, they don't accept themselves. But one of the things that I do know is this. It feels good to have choices, you know? Like if you should always feel like I have the choice to do this. Not like, oh, if I don't wear a wig or weaves, like if I wear my real hair, I'm ugly. No, you're not. No, you're not. You are not ugly, my love. So get the idea out your mind that you ugly if you wear your real hair. Let me tell you something. One of the things that I absolutely love with Narrow Knowledge, he's a content creator. Well, I don't know if he want to call himself, but he's on YouTube. He's on every platform. And he's real young. But one of the things that I love about him, he says this. He says, before the world gives you something, you have to give that to yourself. So if you are out here saying, well, you looking for people to give you validation. You're looking for people to tell you gorgeous. Wrong. Okay? No, honey. You got to tell yourself those things. You looking for compliments? You looking for somebody to tell you you're gorgeous? And you do it because you've been conditioned to do it. Growing up, being told you don't tell yourself you pretty, you let somebody else tell you. And now you wonder, you know, why you seek other people's validation. Look at that breed. Child. You wonder why you seek other people validation. Because you've been conditioned that other people's words was more important than yours. Not realizing that everybody that come into our lives are all reflections of how we treat ourselves. You hear what I'm saying? And you need to know that. Everybody that come into your life is a reflection on how you treat yourself. Okay? Okay. And here's another thing. Okay? When you accept you, you gonna come, people gonna enter into your life that accept themselves. All right? When you accept you, even with my gray hair, once I tell you guys this a lot. At once upon a time, I used to be like, "Oh, I can't wear my gray hair. You know, I'ma look old." I used to say, "I'ma look old." And do understand my children, my youngest children, they tell me, if they want to be funny, they say things like granny, okay? And I remember I was like, oh, I don't want to wear my gray hair. I would keep dyeing it, just dyeing it, putting jet black in my hair. And it's so funny because, and it was two guys mainly on Facebook that will always compliment like my gray hair. And then one day I just was like, you know what? I'm not dyeing my hair no more. I'm just gonna rock my natural hair. And I started rocking it. And it's so funny, I get guys coming up to me flirting. Yes, honey, flirting. And mainly, the first thing they'll say to me is, "Oh my goodness, I love your hair," because it's unique. You out here trying to fit in with everybody else, trying to be like everybody else. I don't know what them dogs doing tonight. Okay. Yes. You want to fit in with everybody else, trying to be like everybody else. Honey, it is there's no beauty in the same. Everybody the same. And that's what makes life so beautiful. We are all different, unique. All of us, we was created different for a reason. Now let me see this part. Okay. Wait, hold on, chill. I gotta put some back up here. Damn, who dog is that? Right. Okay. So the back part. Now this top, honey, is gonna have to go into a few I think it's gonna go like into a ponytail, like a few ponytails at the top, because I ain't braiding all of this, okay? Not tonight. Now, do I wanna do it this way? Now this part I'm gonna braid. So I'm gonna be on here until my phone die. Soon as my phone die, honey, you will know. Look at that braid. You see that? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So my oldest son, he had brought this lock and twist, this edge control supreme. Oh my goodness. I absolutely love this. Okay. Is 11, well, in a beauty supply store is $11. But when I tell you it is good, only thing you have to do is wet your edges. Remember, I had told you guys like I thought that my edges was coming out. I think is because one, probably the edge control that I was using, but also two, because I wasn't wetting my edges. Like I just was putting edge control on it. So nowadays, what I tend to do, like I wet my edges and then I go ahead and put edge control on. Makes a difference. My hair need to be cut again. Did I ever tell you guys the time that I got fired? My first job I got fired from. Chill. So at this time, I wanted a job so bad. Okay. I think I was like 16 years old.